Welcome to the TLI podcast, where technology, leadership, and innovation intersect. Hosted by Dr. Kelley, we bring you inspiring conversations with visionary alumni of Purdue Polytechnic's Department of Technology, Leadership, and Innovation. From mastering the art of human dynamics to shaping the future of technology, our graduates lead the way as project managers, corporate trainers, educators, and innovators. Join us as we explore their journeys, insights, and impact in a world where leadership is redefined every day.
Perfect. All right, so good morning. Today, our guest is Justin Whitman. Justin is a powerhouse in human resources with over 20 years of experience leading human resource initiatives across the world's most respected companies, including GE, Owens Corning, and Thermo Fisher Scientific. Well, currently, Justin is a group vice president for human resources for Thermo Fisher in the area of analytic instrument business. Justin brings a unique perspective on what it takes to build high-impact HR teams leading through complex organizational change and aligns people strategies with business growth in global, scientific-driven environments. Whether you're a seasoned HR executive or an aspiring human resources leader, get ready to take some notes. I believe that this conversation is going to be packed with some insights that you don't want to miss. So let's jump in. So did you recognize yourself there, Justin?
I did. Thank you, Todd. It's always interesting when you hear a summary of your career in just a few short statements, but thank you for the intro.
Yeah, so for our listeners, can you briefly describe your professional and educational background?
Yeah, no, thank you. So I would say I grew up in Indiana and went to school at Purdue, so I'm a proud alum, 99. And when I came out of high school, I originally thought I was going to be an electrical engineer. My father's a civil engineer, and when I joined Purdue, I was in EET, so electrical engineering technology, and about a semester and realized that wasn't exactly the path I wanted to go down. And frankly, I set off on a journey with a guy that lived across from me in Shreve. He was in a similar situation of like, hey, I tried something when I got to Purdue. I'm not sure that's exactly what I want. Let's go find out what our path is. And we set off on this, and we ended up meeting with some professors. And specifically, I met with some professors in the School of Technology at that time. Obviously, it's evolved, but within the Organizational Leadership and Supervision, OLS, department, and frankly was invited to sit in a class to say, hey, come sit, listen to what we're talking about and see if this is something that catches your interest. And I did that and ended up being able to connect with some of the professors and decided that I wanted to go down that path. And what I loved about the curriculum at that time is what I coined as really practical, hands-on, kind of like leadership experiences, right? You're going to come in and learn about how organizations operate. You're going to learn about how to be a leader in that environment, and you're going to learn managerial supervision type skills. And when I got in, what I quickly found was it was covering communications, we were covering leadership styles, we were covering the principles of lean management, we were covering elements about manufacturing and supply chain, and it was giving me this really robust set of skills. So I continued through that piece and ended up graduating, and from there, joined Owens Corning, as you mentioned, and set off on really my journey within human resources. And how I kind of came through human resources in that there were a couple of human resources classes that were just starting to come along at that stage around kind of whether it be compensation or career management or how to think about careers, how to think about labor relations, and really loved those pieces of it and ended up taking an internship between my junior and senior year in human resources at a small manufacturing company in Indianapolis. And that's where it kind of was like, aha, human resources is an area that I want to focus in, where I really want to take my career. And the great news is, since even that time, I know that Purdue's continued to build on this theme of human resources as a profession, right? And the school has done a very nice job of building curriculum around that. And so, frankly, I'm just super thankful that I was at Purdue at a time when I was, that I had the support to navigate and find the path that was the right one for me. Professors took time to talk with me and cared about the right fit. And then it was such a great foundation that I've been able to build on in my career.
That's an awesome example. I think I know for myself as a Purdue dad, I have a daughter that's currently at Purdue. I have twin daughters that are sophomores in high school. I always challenge them, and I challenge everybody when I talk to folks in the community to come to campus to shadow somebody, just like what you were able to do after you got here. I think that's so critical because we don't always find our path right off the bat. I think one of our students captured it well is like, hey, when I was in high school, I didn't necessarily think of myself as a leader right away. Like, hey, this is the field I see me going into. It's kind of a journey. It's a process along the way, and it's awesome that Purdue faculty help take some time to help you there. So,
yeah, one of the things, if I could, just to build on that, I think as I was thinking about myself in high school, right, I wasn't the most outspoken, right, but I was very attentive, and I had my own way of being able to, one, organize my work, strong work ethic, taking on some leadership. For me, in this case, it was really in band. There was some leadership elements there. And what I found that the curriculum did in my time at Purdue, really early on, second half of freshman year and into my sophomore year, is it found a way to unlock that. And my best kind of self came out because of some of the classes that helped me build my confidence in these areas and let me say, that I could really perform really well. And that just frankly gave me the momentum that I needed to carry me through because of the way that I felt it was very practical again, the class sizes, the way the professors engaged with the students, the way that we brought industry in to have conversations, very similar to this, right? To say, hey, this is the way the real world works, and this is how these skills that you're building in the classroom today can be applied. You just got to figure out your pathway and what's right for you as a person.
That's awesome. That's so great. So we ask the students to come up with questions as we do these podcasts to try and ask individuals like yourself, what is it like, being in the field? And so here's a good one, a good challenging question, I think, that a number of our professors ask the students, and I know there's a lot of class discussion around this. The question is this: as a leader in HR, how do you balance advocating for the employee, right?
Yes.
While ensuring that the business meets its goals? So it's that dance, right?
It is a dance. And especially if you think about the human resource profession, how it has evolved over the years. From what I would say, it's evolved from being there to take care of some of the key elements around files, paperwork, HR, benefits, all of those things, then in career development. And now it's continued to morph into, yes, you do all those things, but now we're really strategic business partners driving the strategy of the business. But the thing I always talk to my team about and remember myself is these two hats are really important: employee advocacy and business partnership, right? And the employees are counting on the HR profession to be there for them, right? That somebody will be there when they have a situation, something doesn't go right, whether it be as simple as like, hey, listen, I have a payroll question, I have a benefits question, or I need to talk to somebody about my career. Where's my career going, right? To performance management. How do I continue to improve my performance? Then you take on the business partnership side where you know where the business is going to go. We're going to grow our business. We're going to expand in certain areas. And you start to think about, what does that mean from a people plan standpoint? What skill sets do you need? What technology do you need to enable it? And then what talent do you need to help enable the business? Somebody needs to be able to balance both of those. Because what I have found is if you lean too far to one or the other, then you're not in touch and not able to connect the dots. And so if you lean too far, like only about the employee piece, but you don't have enough of the business strategy understanding, you're missing that talent link around how do you best position human resources to have an impact on the business. And if you're just on the business strategy piece, but you're not understanding the advocacy piece, you lose touch with the feedback, the engagement, what's going on in the organization day to day. And if you don't have that intel when you're driving the business strategy, you quickly lose touch of it. So it is a fine balance. And as your roles progress in your career, there was times where I was heavily in touch with the employee population by manufacturing roles, HR at different organizations where I could be more in touch with the colleagues and day-to-day employees. To today, I'm more on the business strategy side and all that. So I have to do purposeful actions to make sure that I'm doing roundtables, when I'm out on the manufacturing floors doing tours, that I'm taking time to connect with individuals. So you got to balance both depending on where you are in your career journey.
Boy, it's all about the relationships too, right? I mean, you have to have a level of trust, I would assume, from those employees, as well as the people that are helping to lead you, right? And the organization itself. And so I could see that being so critical. And then really being in touch with what people need for them to be successful. Like, is there professional development opportunities that you see that they need? So I see how critical that would be.
It is. Being a trusted advisor or a trusted partner is one of the most important elements of a human resource professional's kind of competency or skill set, right? And
Sure.
Making sure that if somebody comes to you and asks for something, that it's important to them. And that means they need to know that it's important to you, and you follow up or you work on it, right? And you don't let things fall through the cracks. All too often, if not, HR just becomes a place where you're dealing with, the topics that we don't want to talk about every day, like performance management and some of those things. I would rather be HR as a profession that's building relationships with the employees, helping them navigate issues, helping them talk about their career, helping them think about what skills they need to build, what leadership traits they need to enhance going forward. How do we get them into the next opportunity? Those are the fun HR discussions, and it truly does come down to relationships and trust.
So, a great question here, highlighting your diverse portfolio, right? You've had multiple companies that you've worked with, and you've been a part of. So working in industries ranging from aviation to life sciences, what are some of the challenges that you faced in adapting your HR strategies, right, for these different industries? So great question here, diverse portfolio. How do you navigate all that?
Yeah, well, it's been neat, right? I mean, I think it goes to, like, in Thermo Fisher Scientific today, it's life sciences and analytical instruments. I've been really in both pieces of that, which is all cutting edge technology, biosciences, pharmaceuticals, working on all of those pieces. To in GE, it was really around aviation, large industrial manufacturing, elements of it, plus a little bit of corporate. And then even before that, Owens Corning was manufacturing and more of a kind of a building materials type of a setting. So, what I found though, I mean, the most important thing is I've been able to adjust and learn the businesses. So as I go, whether it be my early days in Owens Corning around manufacturing, building materials, to aviation, large industrial, to life sciences, analytical instruments, that you're inquisitive and that you really learn the business, right? You learn about the product, you learn about the customers, you learn how the business makes money, so that you can then best apply your HR principles and skill set to it. Because a lot of the HR themes run all through all of these. Same thing around, listen, we're going to have doing recruiting. We got to do career development, right? We're going to take care of the colleagues from an engagement standpoint. We're going to do workforce planning. We're going to do talent reviews. Those things run across all those industries that I've been in. But if you don't take time to learn the business, it's hard to apply those, right? And so that's the biggest thing I would recommend. No matter the industry, take time to get to know it, really get to know it, because what that then translates into from an HR standpoint is, what are the types of skill sets you need, right? What's the demographics of the population? Is it a population where it's well tenured and they've been there for a bit, and maybe you've got retirement coming? Maybe you have a gap in the middle where the business didn't hire for a while, so you're going to have to make sure that works through. Do you need to go hire more early career folks to seed the pipeline because the folks are either getting promoted or, again, they're retiring out? So what's that demographic flow of your talent all the way through kind of the performance systems and all of those types of things and how you apply them? It all links back to that business and how you apply them, but it starts with understanding that business first.
Boy, and I think knowing where at the time, it was OLS and you were in the College of Technology. When you look at your portfolio, you've been working with high technical areas, and I would think that would also be an advantage as well. as you've worked in these various companies. So, that's one of the things I think that's a real strength for these programs, is we're trying to prepare future leaders in technology. We're housed in that. Now our title of our department is Technology Leadership and Innovation, and it really captures what you have there. So.
It does. Yeah, and it's been neat, like I said, when you start to see different industries. And for folks listening or watching this, know that if you're in a services industry or if you're in a financial industry or something like that, it's all the same principles can still apply. Get to know that business, understand how it works, and then think about how you're going to apply your HR programs and initiatives, because they all can link together.
Perfect. What excites you about the HR field? Thought this was a great question. Where do you see it going, and how can it help organizations continue to advance?
Yeah, well, I would say it's been such a neat journey, right? 20 years-ish of HR experience. And it goes back to even in my first internship in early days, I was doing kind of onboarding, whether it be written applications to written I-9 forms and collecting all of the items we had to do there, to today where everything's digitized and all of that. So the profession's really come a long way from like all of those things today around payroll's taken care of, benefits are taken care of because the processes work. We have great providers, great vendors, however you're getting that done. All of your kind of paperwork and compliance items are covered. And what it's allowed HR to do now is move farther into let's talk about talent, skills, capability development, getting people in the right jobs, helping them grow their career, to now, and it's around the world of digital and AI, right? One of the neat things that I've really seen come about over the last couple of years, even within Thermo Fisher Scientific, who I think is leading the way, honestly, is around how we use data in our dashboards and our people analytics team to really tell us the insights about what's going on in our organization. You no longer need to go through and do your Excels and your pivots and try to dissect this yourself. The computer will give it to you through these dashboards in a moment, right? You just look at these things and it gives you the insights to now we can use AI in our recruiting processes and various ways that we help our organization. So HR's really moved to really be advanced, knowing that the foundation items, HR operational elements, as we refer to them in Thermo Fisher Scientific, the HR ops elements are working. It's a running machine. Right? That then allows us to focus on some of the more strategic areas that I mentioned. And it's been a really neat evolution. Talent, workforce planning, AI, all of that's super exciting to see where the profession's going. You're on mute, Todd.
Sorry about that. I think it's neat that we have all these tools, these technologies, right, that help us to have a bigger insight. It's a much broader view that right. Sometimes we're down into the details, right, and we don't always have a chance to see here's what's happening in the organization, over the big landscape of things. So I can totally see how AI would help in that way. So. Next question is one of your roles focused on GE accelerated leadership programs. What do you look for in young talent? So this is a great question here. What do you look for in young talent, and how can students position themselves for such an opportunity?
Yeah, no, great question. And whether it be my time at GE with some of the leadership programs to my involvement here at Thermo Fisher Scientific, and now my link to Purdue through the advisory council and in different ways we come back to recruit. If I think about what makes talent really strong, it starts from a foundation. And I talk a lot of folks about kind of three pieces: performance, image, and exposure, right? It's the PI model. And it applies very broadly. The core thing you've got to do, even in classwork today or when you're coming out and you're doing your early roles, is really doing a good job. Perform at your best, right? Put your best work forward, because that is going to be the foundation of what people draw about you, right? Are they able to do really good work? Is it done well? Is the quality there? Have they put time into it? The performance piece matters. The image, right? What's the image you want to portray? How do you carry yourself in both stressful situations and calm situations, in large settings and small group settings, in team meetings, one-on-ones and team settings? So it's how you carry yourself. That image is super, super, super important. And then the exposure piece is really around how do you go out and then tell your story, right? And that's in how you communicate, right? Are you succinct? Are you to the point? Do you kind of connect well with the individual, meaning you have the confidence with the eye contact and how you've approached the individual, to then building your network, right? We always talk about how important networks are, and they are extremely important. But how you go about doing that is super, super valuable. So I think foundationally, those are the pieces. But if you really think back, it's like literally work ethic, right? Am I doing the best work I can when I have that opportunity? My say-do match. If I tell somebody I'm going to go do something, whether it be a school and a project team, or whether it be in one of my roles, or even in the day-to-day kind of connections that you have, if you say you're going to do it, do you do it? And again, that becomes part of your reputation of like, that person's going to deliver for me no matter what. I know they got the ball. And then being able to then look at their leadership characteristics. And most importantly for me is really around communications and how they communicate with others. And it's a journey. But those are some of the early elements that I'm looking at with leadership programs, and as folks are making their earlier career journey.
Excellent. So let's say that you have a student here that's at Purdue, right? And they're working their way through the HR program, and they're doing a lot of the things you just mentioned, right? They have a strong work ethic. They do what they say that they're going to do. Is there anything else that you would encourage them to consider before they finish? Let's say they're in the middle of their time here at Purdue. Is there any other opportunity that they should look for, maybe across campus or over the summers? Or what would you give as advice for somebody that's doing all the right things, but they really would like to put themselves in another maybe a next level up, something that would be highlighted in their resume?
Yeah, I'm three quick things. One, I think I had a chance. One of my most impactful courses when I was at Purdue was a class on communications. And it was really around presentations and even around, hey, come to class and we're going to give you a subject or a topic today, and you're going to get to stand up and talk about it. You have like zero prep, but you need to be able to think on your feet, and you need to build that confidence. And I mentioned earlier on how Purdue gave me the chance to build my confidence and really prove that for me. This was one of those classes where when I was doing it and started the class, I didn't love it. Not everybody loves getting up in front of people. Most people don't. Everybody's nervous, by the way. There's none of that. Everybody's nervous. But it forced me and it allowed me to tap into being able to communicate clearly. And that is a skill I use every day. And I think, frankly, is one of the differentiators that I try to have and how I communicate, whether it be in a larger audience or with my teams. That communications piece is critical. So if you've not done that, or find a similar way to do that through a class, through Toastmasters, through other ways that you can build your communications, do that. It becomes a differentiator. The second one is get involved in a student organization on campus, right? Show your leadership, build your confidence in how you interact with others in team settings and those types of things. One, it's fun. And two, you start to build connections and practice, which is what university is really all about, practicing and building that. The third one I would say is an internship. And the internships that I did between my semesters while at Purdue proved to be so valuable. Early on, I was a supervisor of a lawn mowing crew between my freshman and sophomore year, my sophomore and junior year. And then I did the HR internship between my junior and senior year. All of those became really, really important experiences that built on the coursework and the experiences I had at Purdue that have only helped me go forward. So maximize the internship, co-op, whatever one is right for you, but get that practical experience during your breaks when you can.
Yeah, and we, of course, require an internship, so students have to have that before they graduate. So that's perfect. That's spot on. Great advice. One of the things that I've been really proud of, I'm just an interim department here just for a couple of years, but one of the things we've been able to do here that I'm very proud of, and I think it speaks to what you just mentioned, was we created a number of classrooms. So where we had an old computer lab, we've completely reconfigured that as a classroom space. And we put in all these round tables or kind of pods where there's about 5 or 6 students per table. And so the conversation is across that table amongst the students. So they learn from each other. I'm sure that is some of the things that happened when you were at Purdue as well. And I think it's the practical side of trying to teach this type of career is building that relationship, building those communication skills, helping people understand how to listen well and engage well. As we've got several classrooms here in Young Hall that have been reconfigured for this purpose. So excited about
Super
that.
valuable. And I will tell you, we did have those classes in school, right? The project teams, you get together in groups. And again, I know not everybody loves the group settings, right? And some of those things, but it's the way we work every day. It's the way I will work right after this chat today. We get together, whether it be in a room or now virtually through our Teams type technology, but everything is done with others. And a key part of the HR role is about influencing others, right? And so when you're in a team and being able to do that, how you work with them, how you communicate, how you listen to understand, right? And then how you help craft options and plans becomes so important about what we do every day. So I love that you've invested in those rooms. And for everybody listening to this as a student, please maximize those and make the most of that connectivity and that collaboration opportunity.
Absolutely. Okay, real critical question. This is one I try and challenge our faculty on. And I think folks just like yourself, I would challenge anybody listening to consider this, right? So if you were to look for the next generation HR leaders, and you were interacting with, let's say, high school students, because we got to get them at least that early on, right? And really probably even middle school level. What kind of qualities would you look for? Like let's say you were working with youth in some way and you spotted somebody that you're like, that individual should be our next HR employee. What kind of qualities would you be looking for in that student?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I know that individuals, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do until, like I said, second half of my freshman year at Purdue. So we know it's a journey. But I will tell you, Todd, a story. I was at a Boys and Girls Club here in the Boston area, which is where I'm based. And we did an event, a STEM event, where we got students together. And we had to put together little race cars to race them. And there was a student at my table that came in super positive, right? Energy, was inquisitive to understand, in this case, the outcome or the business. If you run a parallel to that, they were understanding what we were trying to get done, and then how they interacted with the other students at their table. You could tell this person probably wasn't going to be the one that says, I'm the leader of the group, but the way he was interacting with the students, in this case, the other students, just demonstrated that he had these natural capabilities, right, to connect with people. So I would say for folks that, one, want to understand business and have this natural curiosity around it and then how things work, that would be one type of person, because HR is a key element that enables business. There's another type of individual who just listens really well, connects well with others, cares, right, and wants to lift people up to help them become the greatest that they can be. You take care of others. That's another type of it. And then you've got the other piece that says, hey, listen, I want to do things that help enable the organization, enable people, right? And so a lot about what HR is about enabling others to get things done or enabling others' success. So there's a lot of qualities that can link into HR. But I do think that, going back to your earlier question, employee advocacy and business, if you think about the core pieces of that, it's about understanding individuals, taking care of people, helping them, and then having an interest in a business and what makes businesses work and be successful. If you have elements of those, HR is a perfect field for you to come into, and then you can start to navigate your way around what's the right areas for you.
What an awesome career. When you think about how, I think I'll use another word of empowering others, right? And motivating others. That's really a key part of your work, right? Is to just empower people to be successful in their in their sector, in an organization, in a business, and help them to help the business to be successful, but also empowering them to advance in their work. And that must be very satisfying, I would think, beyond just a job.
Yeah, it is. One of the neat exercises that I got to go through a couple weeks ago inside Thermo Fisher here was a leadership program. And in this leadership program, they had us come up with our purpose. Right? What's your purpose, whether it be in business or whether it be in life? And we had a chance to reflect on this. And I came up with one that's around, I lift people up, I help people connect across, right? And then I help people get to where they want to go. And so for me, I've taken bits and pieces of this from other statements and other ways that I've seen this come together before, but it really brought together why human resources for me is a great match, I think, for me personally, because I do care so much about the individual, so much about the business, and then just being able to link those two together. It's been a super rewarding career.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I always ask this question last, but it's an important one, right? As well as give us your favorite Boilermaker moment. So when you reflect back upon Purdue and the time that you were here, Justin, what would be kind of that highlight moment, or would there be a couple maybe?
Yeah, there is a couple, and I'll give you two. One is while I was on campus, Slater Hill, all right? Everybody loves a good old Slater Hill, whether it be before a football game or whatever. But at this point, they had a concert in Matchbox 20, a big band when I was in school. Rob Thomas, people know today, but came to campus. And I had a chance to bring all my buddies in from other universities in Indiana to join with me for that event. And so it's one of those memories where it was like the perfect day, a perfect band that you wanted to hear, and you were hanging out with your buddies. So it kind of brought that university feel together for me. That would be one great moment. The second one was when my wife and I, she's also a boiler, were at Purdue. Drew Brees was there, right? And so sure. I had graduated, and then I got to come back for that final Purdue-Indiana game where Purdue won to seal the deal to go to the Rose Bowl. And so being in the stands on that day and seeing, obviously, the fans rush the field and the enjoyment to go to the Rose Bowl, to have Drew be there. And then my wife and I scratched two pennies together to make our way to Pasadena to see the Rose Bowl was another tremendous Purdue event that's out there. And a fun fact is my oldest son is named Drew after Drew Brees. My wife and I quickly agreed that would be the name, and that was a slam dunk.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Boy, there's such Boilermaker pride out there. I can't tell you how many times, I do wear quite a bit of Purdue apparel, especially when I go on vacation and we're at national parks and different places. And so many people will come up to me and talk to me, many times. In fact, I think I saw somebody on a trail once and he was class of like 1956. And he's still hiking, has a lot of energy, and it's just so awesome to have these conversations with individuals. And so thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Any final comments or thoughts?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. It's been great. I've loved it. I would just say, as you mentioned, Purdue's a global brand, right? And I'm super proud of what Purdue University has been able to allow me to do to build my foundation, right? That really was the springboard to my career and the opportunities that have been provided to me. But kind of final messages for everybody listening: students, make the most of the opportunity ahead of you, right? Make the most of the connections you've got. Get to know the professors. Get involved in the extracurriculars. Really, really maximize that. Build your network. I'm going to put it out there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help and be available to you. I do come back to campus and recruit in the fall, so I look forward to being back again. But Todd, thanks again, and boiler up. Love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.